it's ultra important to understand that not only can a person change, their communication style can change. Their emotional needs can change over time. That's why compatibility isn't a one-time measurement in the app. It is a measurement every single month. It could change from month to month. It can be different. I could be different 6 months from now than I was 6 months ago. I'm Kelvin Cook, and you're entering a world gone good.
Well, hello, my name's Steve, and this is the place where we shine the light on everyday people making good happen each and every day. Welcome to World Gone Good. Hey, do you know that my brand new book, Season Slayings, is out? It's here, and it is a great gift for the holiday season for your friends and family. Season Slayings is my third cozy mystery in my series, The Dog Walking Detectives, and it's out now and ready for purchase on both Barnes & Noble and Amazon websites. And get this, all three books are on sale for just $9.99 on Amazon each. I should probably say that better. $9.99. You can't buy Amazon for $9.99. Well, who knows what you can buy it for at this point. But my point being, the books are only $9.99 each. Best under $10 you ever did spend, I guarantee you that. Season Slayings features a holiday-themed murder, lots of laughs, and a dead dog narrator named Hubie. You are welcome for that. Visit Barnes & Noble and or Amazon and look for Season Slayings. This here author, friend of yours, appreciates the support and gives you a huge, big thank you in advance. Today, we are embracing the future, for the future is here already, my good friends. And to some, myself included, it may seem a bit weird and different and even scary. Okay, we're going to start with a fun story. So we moved to London this past summer, and we go to open a bank account at a bank that shall remain nameless. Let me just say that you've heard of it. I set up my account. They verify my passport, verify it's me, check on everything, bing, bang, boom. It's open and ready for money. So I transfer in a rather large sum from my US bank to cover the deposit we are going to need for the rental we have coming up. Everything goes through. We're good to go. And then, oh boy, I open the app to find my account at this bank here in London has been locked. I'm told I have to physically go to the bank and talk to a representative in person, which I do. And this is what I find out. The AI security software that they put in place has declared my passport to be fraudulent, fake. They called me fake. Reminder, an actual live human being has seen and verified my passport, but the AI security software has gone ahead and put a hold on my account and locked me out of it for what they are saying is my own protection. And we, they, them will have to wait for the AI to run a report and deliver results, which will be coming in 5 to 6, wait for it, weeks. Not hours, not days, weeks. The bank representatives, plural at this point, cannot figure out what's happening and why they can't override it or correct it. I say, trying to remain calm. Why don't we close the account? Transfer me back my money. They say they can't. I say, why not? They say because the AI security software won't let them, again, for my own protection. What happens next includes multiple expletives coming from me, which are delivered at a very high decibel in public. I sounded like a crazy American, and I don't fucking care. Okay, as I am being told I have to wait now 5 to 6 weeks for resolution, and my money is untouchable by me, to me, the person whose money it is. Now, don't worry. This all got resolved, and there were multiple apologies, and I even got a £250 credit added to my account for the inconvenience. But this all happened because of the scary monster from the future that is AI. Look, I saw Terminator. You saw Terminator. There's been so many sequels in the franchise. How can we all have not gotten the message? The computers are coming for us, and it is not going to end well for us, people. My good guest today is here to dispel the rumors and put our collective minds at ease. Where was he when I needed him during the banking thing that happened to me? That is what I want to know. Kelvin Cook is founder and CEO of IntimaSync, where he's helping companies boost productivity and retain talent with AI-driven relationship wellness. Here comes Kelvin Cook to talk about the good of relationships and how AI can play a part. Let's dive in to discover the good of AI. Okay, so we are entering a whole new world, like we learned in Aladdin, a whole new world, which I can't afford. So no one play that song, and don't call Disney. But speaking of which, this figures in perfectly. We are talking today about the good of AI. And Kelvin, I'm going to start with this. It's an overall question. AI, evil or genius or evil genius? Where do you fall in the spectrum? How do you feel about it? And how should we be feeling about it? I know that's a giant arcing question.
You know, the best word I can equate to I would call it a hammer. A hammer can be a great tool. It can be used for all kinds of good things, to build all kinds of great things that like your mind could never imagine. But it can also be used as a weapon, right? So AI to me is a tool that can be used for great good, but it could also be used for great evil if it's in the wrong hands. So it all depends on who has the tool and who's using it at the moment. And then also who can garner the most influence amongst the people. Because, I see a lot of things regarding AI, regarding, the type of content that people are willing to produce, like deep fakes, for example, that could really cause a lot of damage in society. But at the same time, you have a platform like Sora that ChatGPT just released, where it's a lot of funny videos. I love watching Shaq and Mark Cuban do weird things like put peanut butter on an overall. Like it's just good. It's just good, mindless entertainment sometimes. So it depends. It depends on who has the tool and who has the audience.
How did you fall into this world?
A lot of what I do on a day-to-day basis, a lot of the skills that I've accumulated over the years have come because there's something that I wanted to do. And I couldn't find someone to do it for me that was either reliable or within my budget at the time. So I did like many others do, and I go to YouTube University and chase down a rabbit hole until I can produce what I wanted to produce. When it comes to AI, there were several websites that I wanted to build. I had no knowledge of coding, but I knew how to talk to ChatGPT, and I figured out how to do it really well. And then I learned some of the other, AI models that were better at certain tasks. And, it just became this solution where I'm now helping other small businesses integrate AI into their workflows, just, so that the bigger players in their industries don't have an upper leg on them forever. So that's how I fell into AI.
That's interesting, though, because, like anything, it can be very overwhelming, right?
Absolutely.
Did you find it overwhelming at the beginning? Do you have more of an analytical mind?
Yeah, I find now in my older age, I'm finding that I probably have undiagnosed ADHD, OCD. So
Join the club. Go ahead.
yeah, absolutely. So, it was overwhelming at first, but because I'm such a problem solver, I love puzzles. And I refuse to lose focus until I figure it out, at least to the point where I'm comfortable. So while it might have been overwhelming at first, I figured out little nuances on what I could say or how to prompt or, how to convince the AI models to teach me how to prompt better. And I just became better at it, and the skills transferred to the different platforms.
And you've gone on and you've created your own company. Tell us the name of the company.
Yeah, so my company is called IntimaSync. It's an AI relationship wellness platform that helps couples stay together by measuring compatibility over time. Think of it as like Fitbit, but for relationship wellness, and way better because you get access to a relationship coach in the wee hours of the morning when your relationship therapist or your professional therapist is probably sound asleep. But what could happen between 1 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the morning could be the difference between a failed marriage and a successful one. So that's what I created the platform for, and it actually saved my own marriage. And I just want to share it with as many people as it could benefit.
Well, what's also interesting about what you just said is two things. One is communication,
Absolutely,
and that's a positive thing that AI can help us with.
absolutely. That's the foundation of IntimaSync. It's really about communication. What I learned, I'm on my second marriage, right? So it saved me from suffering a second failed marriage. When I noticed the same pattern of communication issues happening in my existing marriage, I said, no, no, no. I've seen this story before. I know how it ends. I'm gonna nip this in the bud early. And what I really need is something to translate my actions. I'm very action based. The things that I do on a day to day basis demonstrate how much I love, care, respect, and honor my wife. My wife is a sayer, like she needs to hear it, but I'm not always in the mind frame to say it. I just rather go out and do it and have you recognize it. And that's not always the case. Like I have to love her the way that she likes to be or prefers to be loved, in the same way she does the same thing for me. So I noticed that pattern. I noticed that communication gap, and I needed something like a translator. So I created a platform to be the translator with the understanding that AI was never meant to operate in our minds the way I was placing it, really in the middle of mental health. When you think about relationships, it's kind of one of the foundational principles of overall mental health. If you have a great partner, you feel like you can run through brick walls with them and for them. But if you're in like a kind of a toxic relationship, it could derail your entire career, which is what happened to me after my first marriage ended. So to your point, communication is absolutely vital to a long relationship. And the app just kind of does that for me. It helps translate between, my wife and I, but within guardrails, within AI can never replace a human therapist, and it shouldn't. So there are guardrails built into the app that lets any user know, specifically me, when it's getting to a point where, no, call your human therapist because this is something that you really got to be careful about. So
It's interesting
I hope
because
I answered your
you
question.
did. No, you did. And I'll tell you why. Because, and I've used this example before, is like you can go to the gym and stare at all the machines and equipment in the gym and go, oh, I'm completely overwhelmed. I don't know how to do any of these things. I'm going to leave. You can go to the gym and watch other people and you can just do what they do. Or you can go to the gym and you can get yourself a trainer.
Absolutely.
And you can also get an AI and or app trainer and or video of, like you talked about, YouTube University. I love that you called it that. Because you have all these choices. So those choices are there. So it is an interesting thing you're talking about. One thing I found interesting because I was looking at your website is you wrote here, I'm reading what you said, AI-powered relationship wellness platform that converts behavioral science into 3-minute coaching sessions. Take us through this because my question is 3-minute coaching sessions, meaning the platform does that, or that's the length of time. In 3 minutes, I'm going to make your relationship so much better.
The 3-minute coaching sessions comes from the AI coaching feature where you could literally go in and explain what you're going through in that moment, exactly how you want to explain it to them, and send it to the AI coach. The AI coach is hyper personalized. So it takes into account both your relationship preferences, your partner's relationship preferences, and then all of the activities that you guys have decided to do, whether it's a honey-do list, whether it's activities that you like to do together, you've logged them all in the app. It takes all of those things into your cultural context. It takes all of those things into account and digest that information and puts it in context with what you just the situation you just described to it. Then it will give you back a very balanced feedback based in relationship science and communication preferences, even how you communicate culturally based on where you're from, where you currently live, what your specific communication style is, and then it gives it right back to you and it blends in your partner's communication style as well. So it can help explain the situation from both perspectives and even suggest to you how you could approach that conversation with your partner. All of that, I would say it takes about 3 minutes, right? About a minute to type it in, minute and a half to type it in, maybe 30 seconds, 20, 30 seconds to process the information and for the coach to give you some thoughtful feedback. And then another minute or so for you to read and digest the information or the recommendations that the coach is giving you. So all in all, it's about a 3-minute hyper personalized coaching session, which is far beyond what a lot of the existing apps on the markets do. It's more general. Hey, this is kind of sort of what you should do based on what everybody else in all these other relationships that are out there in the world have reported. We think that in theory, this should work. So this is what you should do. No, my AI coaching, the AI coach is hyper personalized to you and it's specific to your relationship.
So it's more than a self-help book.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's so fascinating. And I wonder do people, or do you get the feedback from people? Do people change? Do people evolve? Like you said, it's like certain people are action based, right? I express my love through action. Other people are through communication. Other people, trips and buying things and, gifts and that kind of stuff. Do people change on their own? Have you found as humans? And also, do they change because they're in a relationship with somebody?
All of the above. Look, the one thing that's constant in life is change. That's something that I've learned the hard way, right? Just in my previous relationships, just because you start off, you meet someone, like a lot of those apps are and tests and things out there will measure your compatibility and say, okay, yeah, you're compatible. Great. What happens when you get a new job, you move to a new country, as in, your case, or, you have children, you get a promotion, your mom dies, your dad dies.
What happens when you don't have the job and you just go ahead and move to the new country? Continue.
That as well. That as well. So yeah, that's why, it's ultra important to understand that not only can a person change, their communication style can change. Their emotional needs can change over time. And what was ultra important for me to make sure that I compensated for in the app was that change itself. That's why compatibility isn't a one-time measurement in the app. It is a measurement every single month. It could change from month to month. It can be different. I could be different 6 months from now than I was 6 months ago. And if this is the person that I chose to be with, it's important for them to understand what I'm going through right now. But not only that, it's important for me to be upfront and honest about who I now am and give that person a fair opportunity to decide whether or not they want to continue in this relationship with me. Now, that sounds bleak, but at the end of the day, it's the truth. Nobody deserves to be unhappy unwillingly for an extended period of time. So if you're going to choose to be there, at least this is how I'm changing. And, I'm going to do my best to manage this because I still want to be with you forever, but, I'm just giving you the information so that you can make an informed decision because that's what I have to do as someone that I love, care, and adore.
Yes, you've taken relationships and made it very, very technical.
I know. I have, absolutely. And I
But
can't
that's
help it. It's a
okay.
symptom of who I am. And, it's because I know some people are technical and,
But you know what? Let me say this really quickly. It's not that different than a journal. If
very
you
true.
think about it, like all my friends, including myself, who kept journals for so long, you go back and pick up a journal. I picked up a journal when we were moving. I was cleaning out these boxes. I found all these journals, right? I found a journal from 2007, opened it up. I was like, I did what now? When was this? Like, who was that guy? You know what I mean? And you're looking at going, geez, why was I writing all this drivel? But it mattered then to that person then, right? But I evolve.
Absolutely.
So it's interesting. It's so interesting to me that we can use technology to help us through those times and to evolve with us
Absolutely.
until they take over and destroy the planet, like we talked about,
Yeah.
like a hammer.
I
Yeah,
was just
continue.
looking at there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of, there are, well, and when you think about it, it's kind of true, right? If the goal is, I guess, the stated goal of all of the AI masterminds and thought leaders out there, like Sam Altman, for example, he believes that, AI is going to have human equivalent, at least, or hyper intelligence, by 2030. What exactly does that mean, that this AI is going to have the ability to develop its own hacking strategy and get into all kinds of systems? I mean, you're finding, well, I'm not going to get too deep into geopolitics, but it was just reported that all kinds of hacks from a certain country, that I don't necessarily want to villainize them, but they were like just kind of sitting dormant in our infrastructure systems, waiting to attack us. What happens if an AI that's super good at hiding and knows all of our vulnerabilities is just sitting behind the scenes, waiting for the right opportunity to, take advantage of some of our, I guess, negligence, or especially towards other human beings. We suck to each other sometimes.
Or innocence
Yeah,
toward it. And the same thing is true. Is like, look, the scientists who created dynamite for a positive reason.
exactly.
And then it was used for a negative reason. The nuclear, right? That was never the intention to drop a nuclear bomb. No, it was to create a better power sauce. Listen to me. Mustard, ketchup, nuclear. Okay, put it on a hot dog. You'll enjoy it. But you know what I'm saying? It is the human condition to make those choices, which is interesting because, again, it's what you're talking about. It's about having relationships and making those choices.
Absolutely. And just like you said, it goes back to my hammer example. It can be used to nail and make a bench, or it can be used to really harm somebody.
Now, your goals, you have some goals here. Cut work-family conflict. That's one of them. Boost engagement. Give HR leaders clear ROI, return on investment, everyone. I know that term.
That's right.
On every wellness dollar. Talk to us about those three.
So when you think about relationships, again, in terms of general overall mental wellness, again, if you have a solid relationship, you're able to tackle the world, right? Because when you come home, you can fill your cup up. But when you're in a toxic relationship or a bad relationship, it can really drain everything out of you. So when you show up to work, it could be the difference between, I was in sales for most of my corporate career. It will be the difference between me making, 25 cold calls a day or 100 cold calls a day. Like, what mind frame am I in? Am I really in the mood to handle getting hung up on, 98 out of 100 times, right? Like, am I in the mind frame to even do that? Am I in the mind frame to be in a meeting with a coworker that's annoying and needs so much hand holding when they know so they have access to the exact same resources as I do. So to me, in my mind, it makes sense for employers to at least provide benefits to their employees, or a potential resource for them to be able to manage their relationships, because it is a major influence right up there with finances, right? And overall emotional wellness, and it affects job performance every single day. So as in that light, the goal is to get IntimaSync into employee benefits programs, or at least a part of their employee wellness stack, right alongside gym memberships. And they call it EAP services, where an employee can go and talk to a therapist, through their job, which I don't know who would go and tell all of their personal secrets to therapists offered through their job. Who could be
I know a
sharing
few people who
information.
do it in a second, but keep going.
Okay, awesome. But
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm sure they would. Keep going.
I don't know. Personally, I just, I don't trust my employers with that. Well, former employers with that much information about me. I mean, I feel like it's all data points.
And that comes into a whole thing of like work-life balance, which they
Yeah,
like to talk about a lot, right? And it's and when you're spending 8 to 10 hours a day, especially on site, and you and I can talk about this as well in a second here, but I'm gonna
sure.
let you continue. We can talk about, the whole, work from home aspect. Is that good? Is that bad? Again, two sides of a coin, right? But when we're in an office in the olden days before the lockdown on March 13th, 2020,
Right.
I spent 10 hours a day with these people. They were quote unquote family because I spent more time with them than I did with my family.
Yeah, there was a time when I was in managing bank branches. I was at work 60, 65 hours a week. I got home maybe 3 or 4 hours and then it was bedtime.
Right, right.
And woke up, do it all again tomorrow. So yeah, to your point, your family is kind of your colleagues are kind of your work family. And I understand that. That's why part of the future product offering in our roadmap is, the same kind of team building solution for teams at work to help make sure that they're cohesive teams in the workplace. It's all about like human relationships, right? Like at the end of the day, how am I treating you? Am I treating you like I wanted to be treated? Am I actively listening to you? Am I doing things that demonstrate the respect that I have for you as a colleague? I always say this: the communication skills that you learn in a romantic relationship can also help you on the job. They're transferable to the relationships that you have on the job. Are you communicating well? Are you listening well? And are you willing to do what's necessary to make sure that the team succeeds?
Yes, and in romantic relationships, I think it's totally fine to give someone 2 weeks notice. That's a joke. Okay.
I get it.
Well, it's interesting that we were talking. No, but it's interesting what you're talking about because I had a job for a very long time at a company that will go nameless. It's a company that a lot of people know. It was the best 6 years job that I ever had. 6.5 years. I fucking loved going to work. I worked with the most creative, fun group of people. Were we all cohesive all the time? No. Were we all best friends? No. Did I want to kill some of them? They wanted to kill me too. But there was a give and take.
Right.
So I left that job. I was gone from that job for 5 years. A position reopened there. I went for it. I went back in it, but there was new management. And it was a completely different beast. And I lasted 4.5 years this time, but it was nowhere near what it was the first time. It was like everything was the same. Most of the people were the same, but key elements had changed. And communication, relationship, it was all about the work, get more done, work. And people stopped listening. That was the key thing. No one was listening to each other.
Right.
And it was like, and that's the key to any good relationship is listening. Now you were saying something and I wasn't listening. Continue. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
No worries. No, that makes sense. You know, for me, I am one of those truth seekers, right? I don't care what it is that you have to say. If it's authentic to who you are and what you do and what you need in that moment from me, or how what I'm saying or doing is making you feel, then I want to know because I want to change it. My goal is the golden rule, right? Treat others like you want to be treated. So, I definitely want to hear you out and I want to change. And my problem in a lot of the workplaces that I had was that people weren't comfortable enough to just tell the truth because I guess for fear of, I don't know how I was going to take it. I don't know. But for me, it's never that. So, if I could have had something like, the IntimaSync, but for the workplace, where my colleagues could have a safe space to tell me exactly what they were, even my bosses, by the way,
Yeah.
could tell me exactly what they were thinking when they were thinking it. They have a safe space and they always knew that I was going to respond in a productive manner. Then my corporate career would have gone like exceedingly and abundantly past what it did go, which was successful. So I don't know. I just think about that when it comes to relationships. Even in the workplace, communication is absolutely key. But as important as communication, even more important, is the truth, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, I think so too, because honestly, it's exactly, you use a perfect word, which is fear. And there's fear in relationships, there's fear in jobs. This place I was telling you about that everyone's listening to, I'm like, ooh, which place is it? It was a fear-based environment that I came back to. And I was like, I'm not working here in a fear bit. Like, why would I want to work in a fear bit? Everyone was afraid of getting fired. And they kept doing these layoffs and everyone was on the chopping block and after a while, it's like, you're not going to get the best work out of me. I'm going to actually do less work now. I'm not doing, not less work, but I'm not doing good work because I'm like, well, you're going to fire me anyway for a reason that is, it's constant, and the same as with a relationship, right? You don't want it. Who wants to be in a fear-based relationship of the
Exactly.
fear of you will leave me, or I will leave you, or I and I've talked about this here on this show, fear of showing you're ugly, as what I like to call it. We all got our a little freaky, ugly thing. And I'm in a great relationship with my husband because with my husband is just like I can go in and say the craziest shit and he's like, okay. And then we go from there,
Right.
and that's a good thing. I think that's a good, important thing. And I think that's important. It's interesting the bridge you've been able to find between the two and that you've been able to create something that can benefit both.
Yeah, I think what you said is important. You got to be willing to share the uglies. At the end of the day, I have my uglies too. So what do I care whether or not you have uglies? It's not about like whose ugly is the ugliest. It's about, am I willing to accept yours, and are you willing to accept mine? And can we find a place in the middle where we make something beautiful? So that's, kind of where AI I found has been really clutch for me because, I don't know if humans are capable of being 100%, non-biased when it comes to listening to two sides of a story. I don't know. I just being honest with myself, I don't have the ability to be completely objective when evaluating something. My life experiences count for something. The things that I've learned, the things that I've been, on my own, the things that I've been taught, the things that I've observed, they count for something and they're going to influence my way of thinking. So, where AI kind of steps in is that non biased voice, or if you're going to be biased, it's because I told you to be biased. Like I told you that I'm an African American from Virginia, for example, and a Christian, for example. Like I told you those things. So when you give me advice from that perspective. And I told you I'm a straightforward speaker as well. So make sure you speak to me in a straightforward manner and don't beat around the bush. Like that's where AI can literally do exactly as I tell them to do while also considering the things that I need to know in order to have a successful relationship with my wife. So that's kind of just kind of bringing it back to the AI, part of the conversation. That's where it shines for me.
Tell us about BrickFi. Tell us about Wealth Extraction Report. Tell us how many hustles you have. You sound like me, for God's sakes. I've
Well,
got like
those are the
40
two.
side.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. No, those are the two. So, BrickFi is my answer to affordable housing, and it's essentially tokenized real estate assets, just giving the community the ability to participate and the equity that they create in gentrified neighborhoods. Gentrification gets a bad rap because it forces people to move out, just from increased, property taxes, from increased rents. Home values might increase by 40, 50%, in just a few short years in a neighborhood. But the people who were there for so long and that made that neighborhood an attractive place to be, they often get priced out and pushed out because, they can't necessarily afford the increased rates, right? The rent or tax rates. So what BrickFi is a platform designed to let anyone, you could literally come with $0 in your pocket and engage in the community civically and earn credits that can be turned into equity into the real estate around you, so that even if you do have to leave, you still get something from it, right? Just because you don't have any money doesn't mean you don't have value. You have an opinion, you have ideas, right? Share those opinions, those ideas. You can do some, labor if you want to, manual labor if you want. I mean, there's a bunch of things that you could do to demonstrate your value. But the point is, you have the ability to earn equity in the properties around you, so that, you can start to build your financial future. And, eventually, if you do it enough, you could literally have something that, the media likes to call, universal basic income. You can create that kind of scenario for yourself if you're willing to put in the work. So that's what BrickFi is all about. And really, those are the two things that I'm focused on. The I guess the equality of economic opportunity, and it's not race based. Like it's really income based equality, because there's certain neighborhoods where it could be where race isn't a factor, but gentrification still exists, and we got to get it away from that racial conversation if we're ever going to make some progress there. But those are my two main focuses. Everything that I do now is all about how do we maintain the human condition as AI finds its way in and weaves its way into our society and our daily lives. How do we maintain the human condition? First, emotionally with IntimaSync, and then financially with BrickFi, because there's going to come a point in time where less professional services jobs are available because AI and automation is taking those jobs away, those opportunities away. And the only majority of the job opportunities are either going to be highly technical or trade oriented, like plumbers, electricians, and carpenters, and so on and so forth. So we got to find something for the people who were typically occupying those professional services to do, because AI is going to do most of it, and humans are going to be relegated to oversight for the most part when it comes to professional services.
It's an evolution, but I agree. I really feel communication, relationships is always going to play into this. That's never going to go away.
Absolutely, I agree.
The last three questions are easy. Don't panic. You know the answers. Question number one is, where do people find you and all this good stuff? Plug away, please.
Oh man, you can find me pretty much anywhere. On I'll tell you what, on LinkedIn, I'm Kelvin Cook. You can find me there. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok as 2X Tech Founder. You can find me, the Wealth Extraction Report, which is my podcast, on YouTube. I'm just getting started there, so don't expect much, but I'm telling you, it's going to get better over time. I promise. IntimaSync, you can find it at intimasync.com. Right now, BrickFi is I'm pre-revenue, so you can find me at app.brickfi, BRIKFI.com. And you can join the wait list so you can start to build wealth. And yeah, that's about it.
We're gonna have links up to all of that. That's my producer Lisa's job. She's sitting here right now. She listens to every show and she's typing all that down, and she puts links, so you're good to go.
Awesome. Hi, Lisa.
She's the one to really be nice to. The last two questions go back to anything we've talked about or anything you want to say. Question number one is this: who inspires you?
I have to say my wife inspires me the most, because she's honestly one of the sweetest people I've ever met, who is never intentionally trying to hurt anybody's feelings for any reason ever. And I don't know why she chose me, if I'm being 100% honest. But she inspires me to be 100% better, just as a human being in general. And that's right next to God. At the end of the day, God is who really gives me instructions on how to live life and walks beside me. But, and put my wife in my life. So, I'd have to say that's where my biggest inspiration comes from.
And the final question is not a question. It is a statement to finish. Finish it any way you like. Tell me something good.
Music. I love music. Music has the ability to bring you in or out of any mood. Music can help make the world a better place if you listen to the right song. There's so many different genres, so many different titles. There's so many different subject matters, so many different just moods and vibes that you can get into. So What I would recommend for everybody is go and find a good playlist and just vibe out, man. And vibe out and love the people that's next to you. Anybody that comes in front of you, just love them. Just love on them.
Thank you, Kelvin, for sharing your good. Next time on World Gone Good.
You can't and you don't need to solve everybody's problem, but executive leadership is the key to carrying people on one path or the other. So when I see these things, when I see protests, when I see federal law enforcement fighting with local law enforcement, that is not who we are. When I see people that have different lifestyles or different faiths, and, just mentioned the church shooting. We had a Christian attack a Mormon community. Like, these are the things that we cannot as a country. We cannot just watch and justify. I wish I could go to all of these and say, hey, there's a better way to do this. It's not going to solve everything, but there is a better way.
Sheriff Chris Swanson made national headlines by shining the light on a different path. And he did this at the height of one of the most volatile moments in U.S. history. On May 30th, 2020, just days after George Floyd's murder, a Black Lives Matter protest in Michigan began to turn into something else. This man, this sheriff, stopped. He listened, and he responded with empathy, compassion, and leadership. We are going to have a brutally honest, good conversation about where we are as a society, how we got here, and where we go from here. We've been focusing our 2025 word of the year. We got to focus on that, right? Community. And Sheriff Chris is all about it. I can't wait for you to hear our good conversation on our next all-new episode. Until then, be good.